Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about, because this is something I've been thinking about for a while, is like things we have to unlearn, we have to teach ourselves not to do because maybe they were taught to us in some form as a child, and things like that might seem seemingly harmless on the surface, but you kind of, when you get to an adult and you're just like, is that really the best thing for me to be doing? You just become more self-aware and self-critical and just being like, might need to fix that. So some of the things I was thinking about, and I'm gonna go from like light to serious kind of things. So some of the things I recall from like childhood and stuff like that is portion sizing. Like, I think it's probably much more prevalent down here in the South, or I mean, I don't know. I only have the South as a reference, it's the only place I've lived, but I know like my grandparents would say this, my aunts and uncles, my parents, you know, cousins, and would be like, make sure you finish everything on your plate. You could have a mountain of food on your plate, but you had to finish all of it. Because you were being wasteful. And I completely agree with this sense of like, don't be wasteful. But as adults, you are responsible for putting food on that child's plate. Like, they might do it themselves, but you should watch them and make sure their portions aren't going to be more than they can eat. Especially when it comes to kids, their eyes are always bigger than their stomach, and you being the adult should moderate that. So I feel like telling a child who just piled up like a plate full of mashed potatoes and fried chicken that they have to eat all of that, and they're full after like 4 bites, and then being like, well, you put it on there, that's not very healthy, because then you get that'll go with you and you're gonna be eating large portions, and that's not really good for your weight and your health in general. So that's just one thing I've had to untrain myself. Like, don't get bigger than what you're going to eat. Not necessarily in like portion control and dieting area, just like know your limits and don't waste food by not putting too much on your plate, if that makes any sense. So you can just like get to know your limits and setting those. Be like, okay, I'm only gonna eat this much. I'm not that hungry. I'm not as hungry as my eyes are saying I am. You know, and that way you're not wasting food, but you're not also overfilling yourself. So that has taken me a long time, and I'm especially bad about it around the holidays. But again, it comes out of a harmless place, but it doesn't have the best, is ramifications the word I'm looking for? Maybe, kinda, not really. And then like when I was little, this came more from like my grandparents and older people in my family, but I was very much a tomboy. Like, I'm fairly androgynous now, but I was definite tomboy growing up. Played in the mud, the dirt. I only ever wore nice clothes to church or dress up. That was it. Or picture day. You know, things where I was forced to dress up for. And now I love dressing up, but whatever, that's not the point of this. Is being told to be ladylike, or, you know, being a tomboy was unladylike, or, you know, when I was out in public, I had to be very polite and, you know, not sit with my legs open or anything like that, which is so annoying, because it's basically you're telling young girls not to take up space in the world. And I know that's not in their conscious thought process. They're not thinking it that way. They're thinking, oh, I was told that this was what I was expected to be, so I'm going to pass that down. Well, you're being told you're expected to not take up space, to leave space for men. And I'm just like, I will take up all the damn space I want. So, and I'm a small person, so I still don't take up that much space, but, I'm just being told, you know, wait your turn to speak, and just little mannerisms like that. And I know like some of it is told to children across the board, but it just seems more reinforced with girls about being polite and not being loud and not sitting with your legs open, and, you know, just being a little lady instead of, you know, being able to run around and play and scream and do what kids do. So I did it anyways. But you just get, it's just kind of, and I think that's one reason I'm androgynous now, is not necessarily out of like an act of rebellion or anything like that, but it's just like I've never fit that mold of being prim and proper, and like even like being an introvert and being quiet by nature, I'm still gonna say something if it upsets me, if it bothers me, and actually communicate. See, I think that's like an underlying, like a subconscious kind of, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but thing is that you're teaching young girls not to communicate properly when you're telling them that, you know, just suck it up. It's not ladylike to do anything. It's not ladylike to cuss or to speak your mind or anything like this. And I'm just like, I'm a human being. Things hurt me. Things upset me. I'm going to say something, you know, and just, to me, it's like you're basically told from a young age that you don't matter. You might as well be a robot just by being told to be ladylike. And maybe that's stretching, but that's just how it seems to me, to be told to be quiet, that it's not ladylike to be outspoken or to say, to communicate. And communicating is the root of all healthy relationships, whether it's romantic, intimate, friendships, relationships with your coworkers and your boss and stuff like that. Communication is extremely important, and that's how you get shit done. So I don't know, but yeah, that's just one thing that I guess that's one thing I got out of at an early age, was being told to be ladylike and prim and proper. I mean, obviously have manners. Don't just be disgusting and, you know, smack. Fucking do not smack your gum or whatever you're eating. Like, you can close your mouth. I understand if you got a cold or something, you can, there's still ways to keep you from making all those mouth noises. We don't need to hear, we don't need to see what's going on in your mouth. All right? We don't want that. Now, slurping's a little different. But for the most, no smacking. Over exaggerated slurping, that's unnecessary. Like, guys. And, so, I don't know. But I've always kind of stuck to my tomboy roots and just been like, well, I'll do it for this one thing, but then I'm gonna go play in the mud afterwards. And you can't tell me anything otherwise. And like, I swear all the time, if you can't tell. And like my parents used to be like, well, I was still an adult, be like, Christy, like, what? And I'll just get loud, and I'm like, never mind. Like, that's what I thought. And it doesn't come from, my cat slapped me. It doesn't come from a, God, I lost the word. Like a rebellious place or a spiteful place. It's just, or a mean or rude place. They're just extra words to me. That's all they really are. And are good for expressing your frustration and your anger, and they can help enhance a sentence to really get your point across. Even if you don't mean it in harsh way or anything. And one thing, this is kind of just subconscious in training, I guess, that happens when you're a child, because you hear grown-ups doing things like this. Judgment and being judgmental. I mean, you see it a lot all over the internet now too. It's just having to untrain yourself on judging people purely on looks or anything, because you don't know, or like maybe they're having a bad day and they're just not the most polite person or something, and you'll hear adults talking shit basically about somebody and judging them, or even when it comes to like looks and stuff, and be like, well, those jeans do not fit her and stuff like that. And it's just like, mind your own damn business. So that took me a long time to get out of. I would say like well into my teens to get out of that thought process of not judging people. And not that I would really say it out loud too terribly much, and certainly not where anyone could hear me, but I would be like really judgmental about things. And it took me a long time just to be like, first of all, it's none of your damn business. Second of all, you're being a piece of shit, and you're the problem here, not them. And so what if those jeans don't fit her? If she likes them, or they like them, or he likes that top, or they like that top, or that bag, or whatever, it's none of your damn business. Let them live their lives. And, you know, maybe they are being really fucking rude, and maybe they are just an asshole. Maybe they've had a really, really rough day, a rough week, rough month. Just be polite back. Like, there's no need to be a shitty person. And that took me a long time. And I think a lot of it's because you hear others, not even necessarily like your parents or anything, but just you're out and about, you hear others do that, and you think, well, everybody else is doing it, so why don't I? And it's not good. Don't hurt others just because you want to be a piece of shit. And then another thing, and this is what I have like a little list. I couldn't really think of a whole lot more. The boys hitting and picking on girls because they like them. No, they're just being little shits. And you start to realize that when you get older and you start dating, and you're like, actually no, if somebody is hitting on you and picking on you, that is abuse, and that's not okay. It's just when boys do that, they're being little shits, and some of them might very well like you, but because an adult told them, oh, boys hit and pick on girls that they like, that's why they do it. And it's perpetrated from a young age, to telling boys that that's what they're supposed to do, and then telling girls to accept the abuse that they get from them. That's not okay. You do not, I mean, whenever I got hit by a boy, if they like me or not, they got hit back, because I don't play that game. Use your words. You have them for a reason. So I'm just like, I hate that mentality. It's like this little girl could be in tears, running to the teacher, just crying, being picked on, and basically bullied by a little boy, and the teachers and adults and whoever else are like, oh, he just likes you, he doesn't mean anything by it. And it's like, he does. He's hurting me. This upsets me. Please respect my feelings and fix this. And I think that's one reason there are so many abuse occurrences, because, you know, you're told when you're little it's okay, and then you get older and you learn what abuse is, and you're like, that's not okay at all. You wouldn't let a grown-ass man, or you wouldn't want, better to say, you wouldn't want a grown-ass man to hit on you and pick on you and just bully you when, you know, you're supposed to be in a relationship with this person and, you know, care about each other and stuff like that. It is my full opinion, but my opinion, that somebody hits you, they do not care about you at all. If they would go that far and they would yell and cuss at you and hit you and threaten you and anything like that, they do not love you. They do not care about you. They can say it all they want. You can trick your brain into believing they can, because I've been there. I've done that. And I'm looking back and I'm like, they did not care about me. I was just a filler in the space. They were lonely. They were bored. And then when they realized I had a personality of my own and I wasn't some robot, and, you know, wants and desires of my own, they lashed out and, you know, tried doing these things to control me, and it didn't work, and that just makes them even more angry. And that's not, it's not okay. You wouldn't say the same thing if a little boy was hitting another little boy, or a little girl was hitting another little girl. You would be like, oh, that's bullying. yeah, it is. And bullying can turn it just another phrase for another word for abuse. So yeah, we need to stop that. Stop telling little boys and girls that it's okay if a boy picks on you because they like you. It's like, no, they're picking on you because they're little shits. And they need to be taught better than that. So, yeah. And that took me a while to kind of get out of that mindset too. It's just like, and it's really hard growing up when you're just like, well, you're trying to decipher as a little girl, are they picking on me because they're assholes, or are they picking on me because they like me? And if they like me, why don't they just tell me? And you shouldn't have to go through that as a child. You should just be able to enjoy your childhood and your whole life without having to worry about it. And that's not to say like when, I mean, in friendships and stuff and relationships, you'll pick on each other a little bit. I mean like full on just bullying, picking and stuff like that. Not like the little back and forth kind of stuff, but yeah. So those were like some of the main things I had to unlearn. A lot of it's just like the training you have to break out of to really be like, okay, well, I'm my own person and this is how I want things to be for myself and stuff like that. Or just straight up being like, no, you're wrong. So, and I'm gonna do what's best for me. So, yeah. What are some things that you've had to unlearn, unteach yourself that may have been implanted subconsciously or with good intentions, but wasn't really the right thing to do at all? And things like that. I'd love to know. Maybe that'll rattle something in my brain, being like, I should work on that. Alright, comment below and boop that like button and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. I love you. Bye.